What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. So let's talk about Bob McAdoo. All right. So Bob McAdoo, Basketball Hall of Famer, had a great career in University of North Carolina. Had a very good pro career. It did not have the lasting power that a lot of us thought it would. Well, I wasn't around then, but when I say us, I'm talking about people who follow the history of the NBA. I would say for about 6 or 7 years, Bob McAdoo looked like he was on a trajectory of having a career that could arguably have made him a top 10 to 20 all-time player. After 1978, 79, combination of injuries, issues with being on teams where he just didn't get along with the front office, not being a good fit with certain systems, what have you, he fell off. He remained a solid player, still scoring, I think, like 17, 18, 19 points a game. But the injuries robbed him of his explosiveness and quickness that he showed and displayed during his days with the Buffalo Braves, now, of course, the Los Angeles Clippers. This is a guy that received effusive praise from his NBA compadres in the 70s, or cohorts, maybe I should say that. John Havlicek once referred to him as the best pure shooter in the game. And that's very high praise coming from an NBA that consisted of guys like Calvin Murphy, Pete Maravich, Rick Barry, So what if Bob McAdoo was playing today? Well, I mean, that's a lot to take in. Honestly, I really don't know. I think that he would be a really good player. Bob McAdoo was about 6'9" and 215 when he played. Maybe he got a little older, maybe 220, 225. So I don't think he would be a power forward / center in today's game. I think he would be probably a small forward. I think he'd be a great rebounding small forward. I think he'd be a shot blocking small forward. I think he would, with the way things are pushed out, I don't think he would get as many. The way the game is played today and everything's kind of pushed out on the perimeter, I don't think, and if he plays small forward position, I don't think he's going to get 3-4 blocks a night. But I think he could still average about 1.5 blocks a night, maybe approaching 2. I think he would probably average around 9 rebounds a game in today's NBA, maybe 2 offensive, unless he's stat padding, which I don't think he would do. I think he would have to work a little bit more on his ball handling, or, he may not be the best ball handler in the league. That's one thing I'm concerned about. But he would still be, because you got to think about it, Bob McAdoo was a precursor to the stretch fours and stretch bigs that we now see in abundance in the NBA. Bob McAdoo was that guy. Bob McAdoo also, at one point in time in the mid-'70s, was perhaps the most dangerous player in the game. This is a guy that won 3 consecutive scoring titles. This is a guy that won an MVP award in 1975. And some people believe he was robbed of an MVP award in 1976 over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, of all people. They think that McAdoo should have won it. Matter of fact, there's some people who think that Bob McAdoo should have won it in 74. So this is a guy that arguably could have won 3 straight MVPs. People forget how good this guy was. I mean, he was arguably the best player in the league between 1973 and 1976. That's with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being in the NBA. Now, of course, one of the problems with McAdoo is that he played in an era where, people consider the NBA competition not as robust, because we know at the same time you had the competing ABA. And, there is some justification behind that belief. And also, it's just an era where the NBA just was not, it was seen as more of a low point in the league, which honestly, I think it has a lot to do with some other stuff that I don't want to get into, really. Let's just say some people think the league was a little bit too urban, if you catch my drift, right? But I mean, man, if he was playing today, like I said, I think he'd be a small forward. I think he would improve his ball handling, and of course, he would probably work on some more moves. You know what I'm saying? Now everybody has a Euro step now. I think he would, I think he would modernize some of his moves as far as, is participating in today's NBA. I could see Bob McAdoo with a step back. So I could see him working on and utilizing and putting that and improving that in his games, in his arsenal. Because I could see that because of his height. I could see that with his quickness. I could see him putting that, and with that lightning quick release of his, I could definitely see that being a staple of his game in today's NBA. When he played, he had range out to 28 feet, but there was no three-point line back then. Generally speaking, he shot out to 22, 23 feet. So I tend to think that he would be a good three-point shooter. I don't know if he would be, I can't put a percentage on it, but I guess he would be like in the James Harden category, like 36, 37% from three-point range. I'm just putting a number on it. He wasn't the most accurate free throw shooter, though, which is a little bit odd. I think he was around 75% for his career. And you rarely see that in a guy who's a great three-point shooter. Usually most three-point shooters shoot in the mid to upper 80s and up as far as free throw percentage. There are some exceptions to that. Another exception is Dale Ellis. Dale Ellis was, I'm using air quotes saying this, only 78%. But anyway, yeah, I think that he would dominate in today's game. I think he'd be a great rebounder. Like I said, I don't think he'd be the best playmaker, which kind of hurt him a little bit in today's as far as passing is concerned. Bob McAdoo, I think would still be a big time scorer in today's league, but I think he'd be better suited as like the second best player on the team as far as being on a championship team. You know what I'm saying? And I think that with today's modern medicine and the technology of today, I could see him having a long and productive career. Like I could see him playing. And people got to remember, man, this guy came into the NBA at the University of North Carolina, and this guy was dominating when he was 22, 23 years old. You understand what I'm saying? Like it was most good players, it takes them an adjustment period to getting to become dominant. Not everybody comes out the gate dominating. McAdoo was Rookie of the Year, and then his second year, he was MVP level. So this was a guy that was phenomenal. And I always believe that great players will be great in any era. And I think Bob McAdoo would still put up 30 points a night in today's NBA. And I think the advantage that he'll have is that he's one of the great mid-range shooters. He had a knack for making difficult, high-pressure shots, clutch shots. He had one of the great playoff performances of all times. I think it was against the Washington Bullets. I think it might have been 1975. I think that's the year the Bullets went to the finals. I think it was a 7-game series where McAdoo averaged 37 points a game, including a 50-point outing. I think it was game 4 of that series. He was great, man. He was explosive. He can get to the foul line. Like I said, he had the quickness to get by slower players. So with no big man today, man, he would have a field day. I really do. I think he'll be perhaps even better than he was in the era he played in. No real bigs, because one of his weaknesses was that he couldn't really bully anybody. He couldn't bully centers. He was smaller than them, but he was quicker than them. So he could, one of the advantages he has, if he was matched up against a big man, he would take him out the paint. And, once out of the paint on the, once you're out into the, like, far as like 17, 18 feet, then McAdoo has the angles, he has the advantage, he has the quick first step. That turns that matchup into an advantage for McAdoo. When he was against guys who might be a little quicker than him, then he was able to use his height, 6'9", his length. So in today's NBA, like I said, you only have a bunch of stretch fours and stretch fives playing. So then you don't really have a lot of intimidating shot blockers or bruisers anymore. So I think McAdoo would be great, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I look at it. I mean, honestly, can you really even stop anybody in today's NBA? Can players even really play defense like they used to? So, yeah, I think he'd be great in this era as well. But tell me what you guys think.